Marvel just came out with the recent bombshell news of some of their upcoming Marvel movies and their new release dates, their official release dates that some of them were kind of like up in the air before. Their marketing campaign was so subtly brilliant. They reminded us of why it's going to be great when we can all join each other in a movie theater again with the same excitement that we had for Endgame. And just they just know how to make you have all the feels, even in material that we've already seen time and time again over the last decade. It's pretty remarkable. And then also sneaking in some stuff too. Um, we saw some nice extra shots that we hadn't before of Black Widow. That's coming out in July. Most of us are pretty set on that, whether we do go to the movie theater or have Disney Plus All Access. For that, I personally haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, but it's just nice that this movie's finally coming out no matter what. And we also actually got some first footage shots of Eternals, which now will be directed by Oscar-winning director Chloe Zhao, which is very, very cool. It was nice to see Angelina Jolie finally be on screen, and it's just weird to me that she's actually going to be in the cinematic universe. Same with Selma Hayek too, but everybody wants to just come and play, and why not? So that's very exciting. But mostly, I wanted to touch on some of the movies that had some question marks beforehand, where we didn't quite really know much about any details or actual release dates for some things. So I'll start with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which is coming out in July 2022, so next year. I think it was originally set for May, and they're only pushing it back by a couple months, but still, all things considered, I don't think the unfortunate passing of Chadwick Boseman has truly shifted the date. To my understanding, writer-director Ryan Coogler has gone above and beyond to rewrite the script for the loss of Chadwick while still honoring him to a certain degree. And I think a lot of cast and crew members have been very public about commending him for being able to rework the story, while also not having him be in the title role. Of course, as mentioned previously, T'Challa will not be recast, which I've been saying for a while now. There's no way that Marvel Studios would remotely do that. I think their age of recasting characters is over now, since Phase 1, most notably Ed Norton to Mark Ruffalo and Terrence Howard to Don Cheadle. I think we're way past that, especially with someone as prominent as Black Panther now. So I didn't think that was going to happen anyway. I trust that Ryan Coogler, Marvel, and Disney will be able to tell the best story possible, especially since Ryan Coogler just landed a monster deal with Disney where he'll be able to create all new stories for them, including a Wakanda TV series that will be coming to Disney Plus at some point in the future. So I have all the faith in the world in him and his creative ability. I do think, as much as I don't like going with fan theories necessarily, I do think that based on what we know from the comics, I think Shuri will have a more prominent role in this upcoming sequel, to maybe taking on the mantle of Black Panther as a whole. And I think that would be a good one. I don't want to necessarily. It's weird. It's tough to guess who's going to become the new franchise star of a franchise when your franchise star passed away due to unforeseen circumstances. He wasn't fired. He wasn't pushed out. It's kind of like, what do you do in this situation? So I don't exactly want to speculate on if someone else becomes the new Black Panther just yet. It feels like it's going to be that way since the title's still Black Panther. But regardless of all that, I love the title. I think just based on that alone, it feels like it's going to be a celebration of Chadwick's life. It'll be a celebration of the character and the impact the character has had on pop culture. And it feels like it's the right move. Personally, I doubt if Wakanda Forever was going to be the original title. Maybe they didn't have one in mind before, but I definitely think this is the right move going forward. So obviously, everyone should be excited for this upcoming sequel. After that, we have The Marvels coming in November 2022, which we all thought it was going to be Captain Marvel 2, and it turns out we're getting everybody. We're getting Captain Marvel with Brie Larson. We're getting Ms. Marvel after her upcoming series on Disney Plus, which is supposed to lead into that. And of course, we're getting Monica Rambeau as Spectrum from the WandaVision series. Personally, I kind of like the name Photon better from the comics, which was the first name. I understand that her name in the comics now is Spectrum. I just like Photon better, but regardless, Spectrum's going to be in it. We're going to have 3 female leads in this movie, and how could you not be excited for that? It's automatically going to be better, I think, than the first movie simply because of having a team dynamic. And I know there was like some criticism slash study on the fact that Captain Marvel really felt like a Phase 1 movie in a lot of ways, considering not just its time period, but also like how it was written and structured and how some of the dialogue came about. So, uh, obviously, it was, I feel like it was done on purpose, but maybe because we've been so spoiled at the quality of later Phase 2 and almost all of the Phase 3 films as of late, it felt like it sticks out to some degree compared to everything else recently. And of course, I've talked about it a little bit when I did my full Marvel ranking, and you can go back and find that video to see why I have it placed where I do. But I think that things change for the better when you involve more people, when you have more characters for your central character to bounce off of. You could kind of see an evolution, for example, in the Arrow show after the first roughly 2 episodes, when Oliver Queen, after he's done kind of doing things by himself, he starts bringing in John Diggle and then eventually Felicity Smoke. And now he has all of a sudden a team dynamic, even though he is still the central character of the show. Everything just works better when you have other characters to bounce off of. And it's not to say, obviously, that Captain Marvel didn't have someone in the first movie. Obviously, she had Nick Fury, but it still might have felt like Nick Fury was kind of a bit more prominent of a role than Captain Marvel in her own movie. So I think this is going to be a really cool way to create maybe slightly better press for Brie Larson and her Captain Marvel character than what she's gotten amongst, some sexist individuals, for lack of better terms. So I'm really excited for having multiple Marvels in this movie. It's great, and they're being upfront about it, and it's awesome. We got a confirmation on a release date, which is very exciting, for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I never thought we'd live in a world where we'd get an Ant-Man 3, now that I think about it. I'll never forget when I was working at Chuck E. Cheese. It was weird but cool. Around Halloween time, we had a kid come in to the restaurant in an Ant-Man outfit, and I never thought someone would actually want to go out of their way to dress up as Ant-Man for Halloween. And I just think that's so cool. And like I mentioned before, we live in a great age of superhero media that any B-list or C-list character people can get excited about, and they want to dress up as. And I think that's so cool. So that'll be February 2023, which we didn't have a date before, and now we do. And I love the villain choice of Kang the Conqueror. Not so much that he's like an Ant-Man villain. I mean, he started off in Fantastic Four comics, and I believe that 20th Century Fox held the rights to the character since he first appeared in a Fantastic Four comic, and they owned the rights to the Fantastic Four and the X-Men stuff. I'm not 100% sure how all of that rights stuff worked out, but it doesn't matter now because we're going to be getting him in this movie, and I'm okay with him being the villain because, quite frankly, Ant-Man doesn't really have many arch rivals, like with the lone exception of Hank Pym having Ultron, really, since he created him in the comics. But obviously, the MCU went in a different direction, and I think it was the right call. And this isn't really Hank Pym's story; it's Scott Lang's. But it's going to be nice to see Michelle Pfeiffer get more screen time and interact with more of the Ant-Man ensemble, at least for me. So I would very much like to see that. It's really exciting. I don't really know exactly where they're going with it, but the fact that we're even getting an Ant-Man 3 as a whole, I think it's just great. And Kang the Conqueror. So as a comic fan, I'm very fond of that. And the last bit of interesting movie news that we didn't know before, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 has an official release date for May 2023, following their Christmas special, which will premiere in December 2022 for Disney+. From what I understand, I think they're shooting them kind of back-to-back, having them go all together, which makes a bunch of sense. And most prominently, my figure died. That's okay. Most prominently, James Gunn is, in fact, returning for Guardians 3 after that whole social media fiasco debacle. He's finishing up with the Suicide Squad and the upcoming Peacemaker series for HBO Max starring John Cena. But after that, he'll be coming back into the fray of Guardians. And I think it'd be better with him than without him, trying to find somebody else to match his same humor. So I think it'll be a success just based on that alone. The good news is you don't actually have to wait till Christmas 2022 to see the Guardians. From what I think I've read correctly, I believe Mantis, Drax, and Star-Lord will be in Thor Love and Thunder in May 2022. So you will get to see that reminder of the characters that exist. Marvel's really good about reminding you that characters exist across certain movies, so you're not completely without them for so long. I mean, Doctor Strange is going to be in Spider-Man No Way Home before getting his movie in Multiverse of Madness. So it's just, they've always been really good about utilizing their characters, even if they're not stars, just utilizing them just enough to remind you, hey, they exist. They got a movie coming up. Go see it in such and such time. So I have no clue where they're going villain-wise. I personally would just love to have more Sylvester Stallone. Just because I just love the idea of him playing in the Marvel sandbox. So there's so much to look forward to for Phase 4. I'll be honest, I don't exactly know when Phase 4 ends at this point. I remember the plan that they announced back at Comic-Con 2019, but since then we've included so many movies and so many TV shows. I don't know when the end date is for the phase, and I'm fine with it. Please, just give us more. Because we live in this beautiful age, and this beautiful age of superhero-dom, and we should not take it for granted at all. What do you guys think of all the recent Marvel news that came about in this surprise heartfelt teaser trailer? You know, like our video, share it with all your friends, subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't already. Make sure that you follow us on our Twitch channel at the Zenden Studios, where we are the Knights of the Dirty Table every single Friday live at 5. And otherwise, we will see you there. Good night otherwise.
Whoa! Welcome to the end of the Knights of the Dirty Table video that you just watched. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to our channel, like our video, share with all your friends, and catch our live stream every Friday live at 5, only on the Zenden Studios Twitch channel. I gotta go wander off into space. See ya! Whoa! Whoa!